as he walked through the gate, heads turned. Students and teachers alike paused in their tracks, their eyes fixed on this new arrival. It was as if they had never seen a copper before. His eyes sparkled with purpose, as he walked with quiet confidence, heading toward the staff office. But just before he reached the courtyard, his eyes met hers, Amaka. She was standing near the classroom block, holding her books close, her school uniform neat, her eyes combat sharp. Corper Kingsley felt his heart skip a beat. Their eyes held each other. Once upon a time, in the vibrant community of Magodo, where laughter and tears intertwined like the branches of ancient trees, Amaka's story unfolded. Amaka, a 19-year-old Nigerian girl, a beautiful and determined young woman with dark, radiant skin and piercing brown eyes, had a smile that could melt even the hardest heart. Her long, braided hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall of night. But life hadn't been kind. Death had knocked early, snatching away her father, a good man, a provider, leaving behind only memories and a few pieces of land he had quietly secured in Amaka's name, to support her schooling. Her mother, Mama Amaka, a resilient and loving woman with worn hands and weary eyes, carried the world on her back, selling tomatoes and peppers at the bustling market. And her warm smile could light up the darkest room. Amaka, my only child, her mother would say gently, you're in your final year of secondary school now. Amaka listens, eyes fixed on her mother with quiet attention. Mama Amaka softly, but firmly, you've always dreamt of being a lifesaver, a medical doctor, but dreams are not built on wishes, they're built on discipline, sacrifice, and prayer. Men will come after you, not because they love you, but because your beauty blinds them. Don't let their sweet words deceive you or steal the best part of your life. Be wise, my child. Keep your head high and your heart guarded. Face your studies well, come out in flying colors. Make me your mother proud. You are destined for greatness. Don't let anyone dim your light. She sounded that as a reminder. Amaka's eyes would light up, determination etched on her face like a promise to herself. One fateful morning, as the new sun rose gently over Gloria's foundation school, a copper arrived, Corper Kingsley, tall, confident, with a clean Nysc khaki uniform that looked like it had been ironed with care, and a smile that could calm any storm. As he walked through the gate, heads turned. Students and teachers alike paused in their tracks, their eyes fixed on this new arrival. It was as if they had never seen a copper before. His eyes sparkled with purpose, as he walked with quiet confidence, heading toward the staff office. But just before he reached the courtyard, his eyes met hers, Amaka. She was standing near the classroom block, holding her books close, her school uniform neat, her eyes combat sharp. Corper Kingsley felt his heart skip a beat. Their eyes held each other. She felt an instant connection and time seemed to stand still. Just for a second. No words. No smiles. That morning, a new chapter was opened, not in a book, but in the heart. As the weeks passed, something had grew between them, like a rare flower that blooms only in the quietest places. As they secretly met behind the old mango tree, far away from the eyes of her classmates, and far from her mother's watchful gaze, Corper Kingsley's words dripped with sincerity. I love you, Amaka, he said, his voice warm. When you enter the university, our love will grow even stronger. I'll come visit you in school, and you too will visit me. We'll have each other, always. We'll chase our dreams together. Amaka, smitten and naive, believed every word. Amaka's best friend, Amanda, had been watching closely. Over a few weeks, she'd seen Amaka's focus shift, not towards her books, but towards Corper Kingsley. And it worried her. She warned her, Amaka, your WAEC and JAM are looming. Don't let love distract you. To make Mama proud needs you to focus on your studies. Amaka smiled wistfully. You don't understand, Amanda. You don't know what it feels like to have someone who makes your heart race. Amanda sighed again, frustrated but gentle. Kingsley loves me truly, Amaka said. One evening, as the sun laid down its final light, Mama Amaka watched her daughter in silence. She had been noticing things, little signs. The way Amaka smiled to herself sometimes. The way her phone was always close by, as if guarding a secret. The sudden silence when she entered the room. Mama Amaka sighed, then spoke gently. Amaka, my daughter, tell me the truth. Do you have a boyfriend? Amaka's heart skipped. For a moment, she stood still, unsure what to say. Her chest rose and fell quickly. But then she forced a smile and shook her head. Mama, why would you even think that? She said with a soft laugh, trying to sound relaxed. You know I'm just 19. Mama Amaka didn't press. She just looked. Deeply, knowingly. Then let out a slow, resigned sigh. Okay. Her mother looked at her for a long moment. Her voice calm but heavy with knowing. Amaka stepped forward, her defenses slipping. She wrapped her arms around her mother's shoulders. Tight, warm, honest. I will make you proud, Mama. It was just only 2 months remained before Corper Kingsley would complete his service year at Glorious Foundation School, and Amaka, full of youthful hope, was preparing for her WAC, with JAM just ahead. Toward farewell. But in the quiet shadows of those final weeks, Kingsley began to press her gently but firmly. Come to my house, Amaka, he said one day after school, his voice low and inviting. No one will know. Just you and me, time to talk, to be close, to share this thing between us. At first, Amaka refused. She knew what her mother would say. She knew the risks. But Kingsley's words came like sweet honey, full of promises, full of emotion. And finally, one day, she agreed. She told her mother she was going to Amanda's house to study. Her mother smiled, trusting, and gave her blessings, not knowing her daughter's footsteps were walking into a different kind of classroom. Kingsley's room was small and quiet, the air thick with silence and closeness. Posters on the wall, the smell of soap and cologne, one small bed, and 2 young hearts caught between love and longing. He spoke softly to her as he welcomed her gently. Spoke to her softly. Held her like someone he didn't want to lose. I love you, Amaka, he said, his voice warm. When you enter university, our love will grow even stronger. I'll come visit you in school, and you too will visit me. We'll have each other, always. Words that wrapped around her mind like a lullaby. Trust me, Amaka. I love you. I see a future with you. I will never leave you. And in that moment, with her heart full, and her mind clouded, Amaka gave him her trust, and gave him her body. A month later, Amaka had completed her WAC. Now, she waited, nervously, anxiously, for her JAM examination. The days were long, and the nights even longer. But something didn't feel right. Her body began to whisper what her heart didn't want to hear. Then one morning, the truth hit her like thunder on a clear day: she was pregnant. Amaka stood still, unable to breathe. Terror seized her chest as if the earth had opened beneath her feet. The walls of her mother's house closed in like a trap. She couldn't say it. She couldn't speak it. She couldn't even whisper it, so she ran, not with her feet, but with her tears, straight to Kingsley. When she told him, her voice barely louder than the wind, Kingsley's face went pale. He stared at her like a man hearing thunder in his sleep. Pregnant, he said, blinking. But how? It was just once. Those words stung more than any slap. Amaka looked at him, her eyes wide with pain. Just once, she thought. Is that what our love was worth to you? Just once. He saw the hurt in her eyes, deep, sharp, and unspoken. Kingsley swallowed hard, unsure, afraid. Then, slowly, he reached for her and pulled her close, resting her head against his chest. It's okay, he whispered. We'll find a way. I'm here. That night, as the world slept, more than 1,000 thoughts raced through Kingsley's mind. The news of Amaka's pregnancy had struck his chest like a fallen tree, heavy, sharp, and impossible to lift. Fear twisted around his heart like a rope. But now, in the silence of that night, he made a decision, a quiet, cowardly one. Since his NYSC was finished, and there was no more uniform to bind him, Kingsley packed his bags before dawn, quietly, quickly, like a thief of trust. Kingsley vanished the town behind. Left Magodo, left Gloria's foundation, and most of all, left Amaka. When Amaka discovered Kingsley had vanished, it was as though the ground beneath her feet gave way. No goodbye. No message. Just gone. She had no idea about his family, or where she might find him if she tried. Her heart shattered into pieces too sharp to hold. She wept until her voice cracked, her chest heaving with sorrow. She couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. Her mother's face haunted her every moment, the shame, the disappointment, the weight of disgrace pressing down like a heavy stone. My mother will be finished if she hears this, she whispered, rocking herself in the dark. She's respected in church, what will people say? And just like that, without a word, without a note, Amaka left Magodo behind. She ran. Far from home, far from judgment, and landed in the city of Edo, not for comfort, but for survival. In Edo, the days were unkind. Each morning, she roamed the dusty streets, wearing slippers that had almost given up, her once beautiful eyes now dull, her face shadowed by pain. She stretched out her hands at busy junctions, begging for spare change, but the horns were louder than her voice, and the word, colder than she imagined. At night, she slept beneath a crumbling bridge. No roof. No blanket. Just cold concrete echoing her silent cries. As her belly grew, so did the whispers. People mocked her, pointed fingers. Some called her names. Others laughed. But even shame has its limit. One morning, as the sun rose like fire over the city, she wiped her tears and stood tall. With slippers that had almost given up, and trembling hands, she began hawking sachets of pure water in the blazing heat, a tray balanced on her head, sweat running down her spine, heart pounding with every step. Days turned into weeks, and just when her body could carry no more, her time came. It was under that same bridge, her only shelter, that Amaka went into labor. Alone. In pain. Without even a stranger to hold her hand, but she fought, she cried out, biting her lip, gripping her wrapper, blood and sweat mixing beneath her. And under the indifferent sky, she gave birth to a baby boy, her hands shaking, yet guided by some unseen strength. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she cradled the newborn to her chest. Gideon, she whispered. Your name will be Gideon, for God is still my strength. But life didn't soften after birth. No, it grew harsher. Hunger became a constant shadow. The nights grew colder. She had no family, no friend, no helper, nothing but the tiny boy in her arms. Yet with every tray of water she sold, every aching step she took through market streets and impatient traffic, she walked with a new strength, not for herself, but for him. And in quiet moments, when no one was watching, she would weep. If I had listened to my mother, if I had only stayed on the path. But regrets, no matter how loud, could not turn back time. It had been 1 year and 2 months since Amaka vanished like smoke from her mother's life. But now, her body had reached its breaking point. Amaka fell terribly ill, her legs were too weak to carry her. Her lips were dry, cracked by hunger. The sun no longer warmed her, it burned her skin like judgment. She could not rise to hawk. She could not beg. She could barely move. Her little boy, Gideon, cried from hunger, his tiny hands clawing at her wrapper. Each time she pulled him close and tried to feed him, he cried louder, because there was no milk left. Her body, starved and brittle, had nothing more to give. The sound of his wails pierced through the noise of the street, echoing off the broken pillars of the bridge where they slept. People passing began to glance their way, but only one woman stopped, an older woman, her eyes wise, her heart heavy with pity. She walked closer, and her voice, though firm, was filled with warmth. My daughter, who are you? Why are you living like this, with a child crying from your chest? Amaka, too weak to pretend, broke down. The pain poured out of her like rain. She told her everything, the love, the lies, the pregnancy, the breach, the sorrow. She confessed through tears how she had regretted every step that led her away from her mother's embrace. Had I known, she wept bitterly, had I listened to my mother, I wouldn't be here like this. I've learned, but I learned it the hardest way. The woman listened quietly, then knelt beside her. She held Amaka's hand and said gently, my dear, the deed is done. But your life is not over. You've learned your lesson, yes, through pain. But your mother, she is still your mother. You are her only child. Do you think she sleeps in peace? She has been dying slowly since the day you disappeared. Amaka trembled, her tears spilling like a flood. She couldn't even look up. But the woman reached into her purse and handed her a small envelope, money for the journey home. Go back to her, she said. Let her hold you again. Let her hold your child. You're still breathing, and that is enough for a second chance. Amaka pressed the envelope to her chest, weeping not from shame this time, but from hope that the road back home, though long and painful, might still lead to healing. Amaka stood at the entrance, dusty, trembling, with her baby boy wrapped on her back. Her mother saw her, and the bowl in her hand dropped to the floor. She stood frozen, her heart pounded like thunder inside her chest. Then Amaka fell on her knees. Mama, she sobbed, I'm sorry. I didn't leave because I hated you. I left because I was ashamed. Her voice cracked. I thought you'd never look at me the same. I thought you'd curse me. So I ran. I thought running was better than watching your heart break. Her mother stepped forward slowly, her eyes already wet. Amaka clutched her wrapper, trembling. I should have listened, Mama. You warned me, but I was foolish. I thought I knew love. I thought I knew life. But I was wrong, and I've learned, the hardest way. Her mother knelt beside her. She touched Amaka's face gently and spoke, her voice like a whisper wrapped in tears. So, this is the pain that has been eating me all these months. You are my child, Amaka. The only one I have. Even if the world rejected you, my arms would have still welcomed you. She held Amaka close, rocking her like she was a little girl again. Who did this to you? She asked softly. Amaka wiped her face. A copper. Kingsley. He served in our school. Her mother sighed deeply, one that came from her soul, but she didn't curse. She didn't scream, she just held her daughter tighter. Where is he now? Amaka's voice breaks. He disappeared. The moment I told him I was pregnant, he vanished. That's why I ran too. I had no one, you will always have me. No matter what the world takes from you, my arms will never close. Her mother slowly wipes Amaka's tears, her own eyes red and full. You've passed through the fire, but you didn't burn. You came home. And that is all that matters to me. She looked at the baby, now dozing against Amaka's back, and in that embrace, shame melted into healing. It was a return to life for Amaka and her mother, a night of praise to the name of the Lord. News spread like wildfire across the neighborhood. Amaka is back. The girl who ran away in shame, who left her mother broken, had returned, with a child in her arms. Some mocked, some laughed, but in time. The noise faded, the gossip stopped. As night turned into day, and days into nights, Amaka's mother could not help but think about her daughter's future. She knew Amaka still dreamed of becoming a doctor, despite everything that had happened. The very next morning, with just a day left before the jam portal closed, Amaka's mother made a decision. She rushed to secure a slot for her daughter, ensuring Amaka had a chance at a better life. When Amaka received the jam form, she felt joy she hadn't known in months. But then, she looked down at Gideon in her arms, her heart heavy. Mama, who will care for him while I'm gone to study at the university? Her mother looked at her with unwavering love. I will take care of him. You focus on your studies. Make us proud. This time, you'll do better. I believe in you, and her tears fell freely. Mama, thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you. Her mother wiped away her tears, her voice soft but firm. You will do it, Amaka. You will rise again, for all of us. Amaka read with all her heart and passed her JAM with the highest score. It was a joy that felt like a dream, one far beyond her expectations. Her name came out on the admission list to study medicine at the University of Benin. On her way to school, her mother held her hand and reminded her gently, this time, Amaka, remember what life has taught you. Face your books. Stay focused. When you become who you were born to be, even men will be the ones chasing after you. And Amaka had learned. She carried her scars as strength. She studied with quiet fire, no distractions, no detours. Not from a man, not from a woman, not even from herself. For 7 long years, she had endured sleepless nights, early mornings, and the heavy burden of medical school. Now, on this final day, Amaka stood tall in her crisp white coat, the name Dr. Amaka shining bright before her. Amaka's mother watched from the crowd, tears streaming quietly down her face. In that moment, every sacrifice, every worry, every prayer had found its answer. Years after disappearing, Kingsley now worked a low-level office job with no direction. Life hadn't turned out the way he imagined, no fame, no fulfillment. He walked into a community health outreach center, hoping to register his ailing 3-year-old daughter for free care. The room hummed with patients, nurses, and murmuring voices. Kingsley sat quietly, waiting. Then, he saw a small boy dash across the hall. Something about his face struck Kingsley in the chest like a memory, and then, he saw Amaka, elegant, composed, a doctor. The boy ran to her, grabbed her hand. Mommy. Kingsley's heart stopped. He stood, barely breathing. Amaka, that boy, is he mine? She turned slowly, met his eyes with a calm that came from pain long conquered. She nodded. Yes, Kingsley. The pregnancy you ran away from turned out to be him. Kingsley staggered, but Amaka wasn't done. She stepped closer, her voice firm but steady. You thought you had successfully destroyed my destiny with lies that felt like love. You made me believe in forever, then vanished when reality arrived. I thank God for my mother. She's been my strongest pillar all along. Even when things were hard, she never gave up on me. She looked down at her son and smiled gently. But this boy, the one I carried through shame, through hunger, under a bridge, he became my fire. You left, but I stood. You vanished, but I rose. Kingsley's lips trembled. I'm sorry. Amaka inhaled deeply and replied. I'm not here for your sorry. I'm here to save lives, including the one you left behind. She turned, holding Gideon's hand, walking with grace. Kingsley sat, broken, watching the life he could have had, slip away. Lesson learned, mistakes don't define your future. With resilience, a mother's love, and faith, you can rise again. Every of our choices has weight, and avoiding them doesn't erase them.